All right, hello class. Today we are reviewing what we've done so far in Unit 7B. So this video is all going to be about what we've done the first day, reviewing polynomial names and writing in standard form. Okay, so if you remember, a polynomial, what it cannot have is it cannot have any negative in the exponent. Okay, so right there we've got x to the negative 3. That means it's not a polynomial. Okay, the second thing is we cannot have a variable in the bottom of the fraction. So notice that's 3 over x. That means that is not a polynomial. And then we cannot have a fraction in the exponent. So if you see any of those three things with the variable, it's not a polynomial. Okay, then we had a bunch of vocab words. Okay, remember the terms of a polynomial are separated by addition and subtraction signs. That means this is a term, this is a term, this is a term, and this is a term. Those are all terms. Okay? The degree of a term, each term has its own degree, and it's the sum of the exponents of the variables. Most often, it's just going to be the exponents. So the degree of this term is 6. The degree of the next term is 5. The degree of this term is 4. And the degree of this term is 1. All right? Then the degree of the polynomial overall is the degree of the largest term, or the largest of all the terms. So in this case, 6 is the biggest of all 4 of those degrees, or all 4 of those exponents. So that's the degree of the entire polynomial. Okay? Also, standard form is when is written with the terms in order from greatest degree to least degree. So notice up here, I've got 6, 5, 4, 1. Okay, so that's written in standard form. The largest exponent, or the largest degree, comes first, which is 6, then 5, then 4, then 1. So that is what it means to be written in standard form. So remember the names for terms: monomial, binomial, and trinomial, and polynomial. Okay, the names for degree: constant, linear, quadratic, cubic, quartic, quintic, and anything above that we just say 6th degree, 7th degree, and so forth. All right, if you do not have this in your notes, you need to pause this video, copy these down, and make sure you have these. So last couple of vocab words that we dealt with, right? The leading coefficient is the number in front of the first term of a polynomial. The key here is when written in standard form. All right, so remember, it has to be in standard form. And then the leading coefficient is just the number. So notice what I have in blue is just 3. The leading term then is the entire term at the beginning of the polynomial when written in standard form. Again, these must be written in standard form first. So you see I have this green box around the whole thing. That's all the leading term. And then lastly, the constant term is the number without a variable if the polynomial has one. So notice in red I've got right there -2. That would be the constant term. All right, let's put this into practice and looking at what Delta Math would give us. So it says determine if the expression is a polynomial or not. If it is, state the type and degree of the polynomial. Okay? So remember, we look for negative exponents, don't have any. Fractional exponents, don't have any. Variables in the bottom, don't have any. So it is a polynomial. So this does represent a polynomial. Okay, now we want to convert to standard form. We always want it to be in standard form. So the largest exponent comes first. That's -10x to the 5th. Okay, the next biggest exponent is 2x to the 2nd power, and then the smallest exponent is 4x. Okay, so I'm really just rearranging from largest exponent to smallest exponent. Okay, now the polynomial is a blank. This is going to look for the word for terms. So we look at how many terms it has, and this polynomial has 1, 2, 3 terms. So we look at our table for terms, and we know that it is a trinomial. And then for the degree, we look at the largest exponent. So we've got a degree of 5. All right. Okay, next example. Okay, answer all the questions about the following polynomial. Whenever we see ones like this, the first thing we need to do is write in standard form. So I'm going to take the largest exponent and write that first. So negative 3x to the 4th. The next biggest exponent is negative x to the 3rd. Then there's 7x. And then lastly, negative 1/5. Okay, so all I did was rewrite. Now we're just going to look at that blue polynomial to answer all of the questions. We no longer look at this. We just ignore that. That's gone. Okay, we are looking at ours written in standard form. Okay, so the expression represents, this time we want the word for degree. So we look at the largest exponent, and it is 4. And we look at our table, and we know the word that goes with a degree of 4 is a quartic. Then we look at the number of terms. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we type the word 4, the letter, the number, and number 4 for 4 terms. All right, now we know what the constant term is, the number all the way at the end without an x or a variable with it. So negative 1/5. The leading term, remember, is the whole first term at the beginning. So it's the whole thing, negative 3x to the 4th. And then the leading coefficient is just the number. So negative 3. Okay, we can take kind of what we have here and just get rid of that variable, and that is what our leading coefficient is. All right, next example. First of all, so start writing in standard form. So I'm going to take the largest exponent and write that first. That's going to give me x squared over 3 minus 8. Okay, now we ignore that. That's gone. We just use our standard form 1. This represents a blank polynomial. We want to look at the exponent. I've got an exponent of 2. Look at my table. It is a quadratic polynomial with, now I count the number of terms. I've got 1, 2 terms. The constant term is negative 8. That's the number without a variable. The leading term is the term all the way at the beginning when written in standard form, x squared over 3. And then the leading coefficient is that number that goes with it, okay? So when we have fractions like this, we don't want to include the variable. So we basically can take the leading coefficient and get rid of the x or the variable. So that means our leading coefficient is 1/3. Okay, remember, as a side note, we can write this as 1/3x squared or 1x squared over 3. Then when we get rid of the variable, it just leaves us with 1/3. Okay, so that's a couple examples of those delta math ones where you have to know all of the terms. Let's do one where we have to write in standard form. So we've got this big thing. Okay, first we want to find the largest exponent. I see that right here with x to the 5th over 8. That's going to be brought to the front. Negative x to the 5th over 8. Okay, now that I've rewritten it, I'm going to cross it off because I know I've got it in my final answer. Next, 8x to the 4th. So plus 8x to the 4th. Next, I've got x squared. Then this next smallest exponent is 3 to the 3x. And then my smallest one is negative 7. Okay, I would type that entire thing into delta math, and now it's in standard form. All right, so that was a review of everything we did on the first day. Hopefully it helps you just to kind of remember and practice those exponents.